Shalom, this is Rabbi Aaron Boxt from Temple Kolemeth in Marietta, Georgia. I am coming to you once again with my what message of the week. This week's Torah portion coming up is Parashat Exodus 10, verse 1 through Exodus 13, 16. The last three of the 10 plagues we see visited on Egypt: locusts, darkness, and of course the killing of the firstborn. And it begs a lot of questions. Why would God bring all of these terrible plagues on the Egyptians when the Egyptians are God's people as well? Later on in the story, the children of Israel, the Israelites, have escaped through the Red Sea, and then the sea crashes down on the Egyptian soldiers, and the Israelites start to celebrate, and God comes to them and says, "Why are you celebrating? My people are drowning." And it's just very interesting to think, if you go back to this week's Torah portion, God's people were heavily inflicted plague after plague at the same time, the Egyptians. And so it begs the question, why would God do what God did regarding the 10 plagues, especially the killing of the firstborn? And there are a lot of answers, a lot of reasons why. Probably the most accepted answer is that God was showing God's strength to the Israelite people to convince them that they should follow him or follow Moses out into the desert, into the wilderness, that God would take them and make them God's people. And the showing of his strength, God's strength, by all these plagues would be the way that they would that God will show God's strength. Also, in this week's Torah portion, we find the first mitzvah that's given to the Israelite people. They are to establish a calendar based on the movements of the moon, and still today the Jewish calendar is a lunar calendar. We also hear of the commandment of the Jews to bring a Passover offering to God, symbolizing the angel of death passing over the doorways of the Israelites. As a matter of fact, there is a ritual that we have today that links itself all the way back to this particular Torah parsha, and that is, in the home of Jewish people you find a mezuzah. And the mezuzah represents that this is a Jewish home, and it has the Shema and the V'ahavta in it, and it is a way that sort of reminds everyone that goes into the home that this is a home of Jewish people, and it reminds people that home is dedicated to the God of the Jewish people. Well, in the Torah portion for this week, we see blood on the doorposts of all the Israelites so that the angel of death knows which home to skip over. And although they're not exactly the same, they link to each other in the fact that we're recognizing that these are Jewish homes, and they are committed to following following the rules and the customs of the Jewish people. So quickly the Israelites leave out of Egypt that they don't allow their bread to rise, so therefore we eat matzah as symbolic of the bread not rising, as they're able to get out of Egypt so quickly. And of course, we do see the exodus out of Egypt. I'd like to focus on a couple of things. Number one, I think it's very clear that the significance of the Passover story, the significance is very clear for Jews today, and arguably for everyone in the world. We are commanded more than anything else to remember that we were slaves in Egypt, to remember that God took us out of Egypt and freed us, and to remember that we were strangers in a strange land. And the reason I believe that we are told to remember this so often is that we remember to treat others who are different from us with kindness and love, accepting the other the stranger in our midst as equal to us. In this day and age, with all of the hatred and violence and terrorism that's going on in our world, we sometimes can easily forget the importance of what it means to ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, to love your neighbor as yourself. We were not treated with kindness and love when we were in Egypt. It wasn't until God freed us from the land of Egypt, from the slavery in the land of Egypt, that we began to come together as a people, and we got to our land with freedom and with the ability to live our lives as we wanted, as we needed to. And that is so vital for this week's Torah portion. It's also so vital for everything that's going on in our world today. Go to our website, www.kolemeth.net, and you can see all of the amazing things that are going on. We have the gala, the celebration of Rabbi Lebo and Madeline Sable coming up in March. We have Miss Aviva from Aviva and the Flying Penguins coming back to do a program for us with our young kids, our Shabbat Bonim, for our Shabbat Bonim service, which is going to be co-sponsored with the Sunshine Preschool coming up on in a couple of weeks. Just have a lot going on here for groups of all ages. I recommend that you check out our website, check out our calendar, and really come on. Friday nights, 8 o'clock services. Please join us. We'd love to have you be a part of our spiritual experience and really help us make the experience what it is going to be for you and for all of our people that come here. Remember, my door is always open, so if you have any questions, feel free to stop in. And I look forward to welcoming you into our building, into my office, into the sanctuary, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week and a wonderful, happy, healthy, and restful Shabbat Shalom.